Okay, we'll go ahead and call the Thursday, October 17th Airport Commission meeting in and start with roll call, please.
Neil Johnson, Greg Collier,
Here.
Andrew Barker, Joel Gardner, Steve Smith,
Here.
Bill Schoonover,
Here.
Greg Willoughby.
Here.
And has anyone had a chance to look at the minutes from last month?
I'll move to approve them.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Comments from the audience? Are you guys here for the leadership class? Awesome. All right, so if there's no comments, we'll move on. Daniel, you want to speak to us about Summit? Tell us how everything went.
Yes. Good afternoon. So, first I want to give y'all a kind of final going through of how the fly-in went. Very successful, good weather that day. We had some storms coming in the afternoon, so people weren't able to stick around for too awfully long, but we had a great turnout. Around 20 airplanes showed up, a big group out of Fort Smith, and an old T-28 from 70s or 80s was there as well. That was kind of the big one there. Harbor High School students had a great time, really enjoyed talking to all the pilots. I kind of wanted more out of them than I got for like volunteering and actually getting, pilots taken care of. But I think with what we had, the turnout that we had, it was actually worked out fine. So my plan is to, next year, I want to build on what we've done and what we've learned and do something a little bit bigger. I'd like to fold in maybe a car show and have a few extra vendors there. Local vendors, not food, because I like that the Albatross got a lot of business that day, and I think they deserved it, and they did very well that day, even with the free meals that we provided to pilots who flew in. Just other things ordered off the menu was great for them. We did run into the issue of not having quite enough ramp space for the original area I had allocated. So every 10 minutes, we actually expanded it by about 25 feet, which was not a bad issue to have in any way. Didn't have to really worry about people wandering around the ramp too much. There's a few people who are used to going out there and taking pictures kind of as a hobby. They know how to conduct themselves on the ramp anyway, and we see them all the time, know them by name. So next time we do it, I'd like to allocate a little bit more space. We didn't have too much traffic coming through as general aviation that day that wasn't a part of the fly-in, so it worked out really nicely, actually. So that's probably about it for the fly-in. That went really well, like I
How
said.
many Harbor students did you have?
I think I had about 6 in total, plus the man who runs it, Jason McMullins. He was a great asset there. He ended up staying there for, I guess, into the evening, making sure all the kids were taken care of, and they brought a flight simulator that they use for just general learning at the high school, and so people had a great time with that. And of course, we saw all sorts of things. We also had a gyrocopter show up, so I've never seen a gyrocopter at Springdale since I've been there, so that was kind of a treat. And then just all sorts of people with some older aircraft as well, so that the students got to actually talk to and see what the aircraft do and why the people own the aircraft. Is it for business or pleasure, or what it might be.
I was actually out of town and didn't get to come. Ballpark, how many people you think came through?
I think we saw all 150, 175
Good.
in total throughout the day. And there was a lot of people that actually showed up after we kind of shut things down. Once the weather was really moving in, a lot of people were showing up, but unfortunately you couldn't have planes out there at that point. So if we were able to get a full Saturday with no weather, I think we could have doubled that number pretty easily. So just kind of the luck of the draw. But again, looking for spring, maybe towards May, once the storms have kind of moved out generally and things are starting to warm up. I'd like to do it right after school lets out as well. So the kids are going to be free. Parents are trying to look for things to occupy their children with as well. So it should be good.
As always, the second's always better than the first, so.
I'm hoping so.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of interest from a lot local vendors asking if they could bring some stuff out. I'd like to get like boat dealerships and things, especially in the spring. We can get some boat dealerships and some eye candy. They might not make a sale, there, but at least 200 people saw the boats that they're trying to sell, and it looks good. It's fun and it's on the airport, so it's bringing foot traffic in. Is my idea. Any other questions about it? Anything I haven't discussed? Okay. Let's see. A couple other things. Fuel sales for September down about 5% over August. Kind of looking typical for coming into the fall season. It's really not bad. Having said that, it was up 40% over last year for September. So very good month. I'm interested to see how this month pans out. Doing good so far. As long as this weather holds out, we'll get a lot of VFR traffic, and then our normal larger companies still coming in and out just as they need. Still doing well there.
How's the Razorback traffic?
Minimal. They're going to go into Fayetteville most of the time. We've got a shuttle pass that I give to one of my employees who is on, when he's not working for me, he's a part-time Uber driver. So he takes that shuttle pass and he will go between Springdale and Fayetteville and get a couple people. He does okay. He's getting 2 or 3 rides from the Springdale area near the airport each weekend that we have a home game. So not as good as I'd like, but it's not terrible either. So just trying to figure out how to draw some of that traffic up. Maybe looking at adjusting some fuel pricing on game day weekends or something like that. Especially with having an Uber service that's pretty reliable in this town, that might work out for them. Still not sure though. So we have we've had an issue that's for some reason is just more prominent in the last couple of weeks than any other time of the year. We got a lot of people who are driving across our ramp, and yesterday I was out with 2 of my new guys fueling an airplane, and a gentleman who was a customer of Tommy Lee's drove right between a jet and the aircraft that we were fueling. I didn't stop him. I thought he was coming over to say hi to me or something, but he didn't. Just right through the planes, about 15-foot separation, and just totally inexcusable. And he made eye contact with me too. I say that to say it'd be nice if we could do a little bit more enforcement of no driving on the ramp. We had a full ramp yesterday. We've got survey planes with $100,000 cameras in them, and I don't want anything getting dinged. It's not good for anybody at that point. Of course, and we're having some tool trucks that are driving across our ramp as well, causing a bit of an issue because we don't see them until they're on a ramp, and then by the time they're going across, we can't stop them. We can't do anything as much as we'd like to. It's not feasible. But with yesterday, having Tommy Lee's customer drive across our ramp in between our planes, I kind of popped a cap and vented to James in an email real quick, just let him know what happened. But I don't know if there's something we could do, signage or a truck route or something like
What do you
that.
think, James? What's the first option there?
I talked to Bill and the business owners, and I told them that any deliveries or any trucks on the ramp has to be escorted, and then Tommy Lee's going to deal with his person as well. So
Maybe send out a mass email to everyone with a hanger to let them know that, and please reply acknowledgement.
right,
That way we have
yeah, because we don't have everybody's emails, but we can dig them up. We can contact them anyway.
Or if you talk to them in face-to-face in person, maybe get them to sign something.
Yeah. My concern is the ramp safety. Full ramp, I don't want people driving across. It's already risky enough with my guys driving fuel trucks and stuff. So, but that's all I had on that. Do you have any questions for me? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. James, you going to take our operations report?
Yes, sir. Bill's reached out to our delinquent renters. We've still got the same few. And on the city attorney, he apologizes that no one's here today. He's going to make sure for our November meeting, he has all the information that y'all are looking for, and promises to have either himself or someone here to make that report.
Okay. So as far as reaching out to these people, is Sarah or is somebody actively pursuing?
Sarah is sent every month our delinquent renters. So she knows if they're 30 days back, 60 days back, or 90 days back. So every month she sent an email from the city clerk's office making her aware of what our renters' issues are. So she has all that information. She is supposed to be sending them letters and addressing the back rent. Anybody over, 30 days, 90 days,
Plus penalties.
plus penalties.
So I think all the commission received an email with the contract on it. That, any discussion on that?
Yes.
Tighten that up.
I'm looking at item 6 in our lease agreement. Obviously not an attorney, but looks like to me it spells it out very clearly. If they get 90 days in arrear, they are automatically terminated, their lease. And I guess my question is, whose responsibility is it to enforce that? Mr. Davis, it appears, would certainly fall into that category, and does he still have an active lease with us?
He does.
And if so, why? That'd be my question. Based on item 6 of the lease agreement, page 10.
Well, I would think we would need to bring that up in a meeting and discuss it to execute it. So that's the why, but I don't know, I don't see a reason why not to pursue it today.
Who physically does it? Is that city attorney's?
Yeah, they're the
Office.
one who addresses the certified letter.
Maybe then for next month when we meet, we can visit with them about not only getting updated on bad debt, but evacuating people who have long-standing debt. And then the way things happen with that, sometimes when one or two are sacrificed, things clean up. So maybe that's our first step. Okay?
I'm
So-
sorry, I didn't hear what he suggested.
And maybe we get in touch with the city attorney and have him write that up, so next month when we get here, we can vote on that. And
Would that mean that the city attorney, if they reach 90 days in arrears, that they automatically have the authority to initiate
I would
the,
say that should come to the commission, and then we send that on to the city attorney.
90 days, the commission votes whether or not to terminate the lease?
Things happen
Yeah, because
sometimes.
the previous time he got eviction notice, he went in and got current and dropped it. So, dropping in the rears.
So do you want, when Sarah sends it out from the city clerk's office to, because she sends it to James, myself, and Sarah in the city attorney's office, do you want us to turn around and kick those, same email to all of you, just to let you be aware that
Yeah, I think so.
we can do that?
Let's do that. And then that way, we're up to date for the next meeting. I think so. There's not that many. It's not going to take that long.
Seems like to me that it would be, since the lease is where it is, an automatic letter from the city attorney should happen without us having to vote on it. Because basically, when we're voting on something that's already in the paperwork, we're saying there's a possibility for allowance.
My only thought there was sometimes things happen, and for whatever reason, someone has gotten into arrears by accident, can get it caught up quickly, whatever the case may be. Not so much some of these that are consistently behind, but somebody new that were to come along, maybe just by us reaching out to them would solve it.
them to
And in that letter that the city attorney writes is that if there are extenuating circumstances,
bring those to the commission.
come to the commission. So the eviction won't happen immediately, because they get the letter and that, so they'll have an opportunity to come to the commission and explain.
I think so. I think maybe even we put a time limit on it. We give them 30 days to come to the commission. And if they've not presented their case to the commission, the next calendar month, they'll be evicted.
Most of these on this list here are the same ones every month.
And I know over the years, you've talked to all these folks. It's just an ongoing, not only has it been ongoing, but it's a waste of your time and the commission's time.
Especially when you got a waiting list.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're about 40 people.
Okay, so is that, are we going to get that in front of Ernest, or?
Okay, so Ernest sent me an email a little bit ago and asked for several different things on quite a few people. I'm going to be getting that for him. I'll also let him know what you guys talked about here today. And he wanted to make sure that he had everything up to date on every person that's delinquent at all, and the past ones, you know, the ones that
Bad debt.
that's already moved out. So I've got a lot of information to get to him, and
So maybe.
that's where he was going to present at the next meeting, was he was going to have a complete, full update on everybody.
So why don't we plan on either it sounds like he's going to be here, but if not, he or Sarah can present next month to us, and we'll move forward from there based off what they're,
And if you want what I send him, I'll be happy to send you guys too, just so you're aware of what he's looking at. And
I don't think it would hurt for him to go ahead with those 90 days and go ahead and initiate a letter before our next meeting.
Okay,
And get that process started, and then he can update the results of that at our next meeting.
has that not already been done, James?
Good.
it should have, we're not sure.
Okay.
Is it correct also that they're going to go ahead and pursue with Fricksters, with our previous restaurateurs? They're pursuing that bad debt as well?
They were told to.
Ernest mentioned that one specifically to me today too.
And we've reached out to them numerous times, and they tell us they're going to pay it.
What we'll just send to you guys and let you be aware of what's going on, and then you'll have an update even before the meeting.
Good, thank you. All right, what else, James?
That's it for me.
I'm concerned that our new pay people are already 30 days past due. That's a tough way to get started.
Might have been
I
June.
think it was June.
And he might have just been out of town and hadn't paid it yet.
Okay. Any other questions, comments for James? Wyman, our activity report?
Got reimbursed on some of the grants, so we're back to spending 40,000 more than we've taken in so far this year. We should recover most of that, but our cash balances got back up to 70,000.
And do we have anything outstanding coming in?
We've got the concrete pad progress right now. Grant money at the end of the project, and we have to pay for it in the front. Got an updated proposal on the detention basin.
I think Brad is going to come in and visit with us about that.
But he was gonna be here and the mayor also, but they,
Nobody from Garver's here today?
What was this last big rain that we had? How did that affect downtown? Just curious. I'm curious how that relates to our detention pond.
Yeah, because it was a record amount of
That
rain.
was a record amount of rain, and there's no effort for the detention ponds. What happened downtown in the city? Flood?
floodplain.
So it's stopping construction because of the potential flood. But we don't know if the rain caused it to flood. Could get floodplain changed.
And Adam sent me a report on the concrete pad, since he wasn't going to be here today, that they're a week ahead of schedule. They poured yesterday. They're doing sod work today. They should be finished up next week.
Any other nuggets for James, or James for Adam? Is that all he gave you?
Adam did tell me that he's looked at this proposal for the detention basin and stayed outside the area we would need if we have to move the taxiway away from the runway
Outside what direction?
to the west. Or FAA's told us that we may have, that the taxiway is closer to the runway than what it should be, and sometime in the future, we may be required to move it. Well, we've marked that on this map, where it would have to go to. Then there's a distance they have to be away from that, and they've marked that also. So that's taken all the adjustments for the taxiway into consideration. This proposal would pretty well eliminate the possibility of a terminal building on Emma.
It would.
Proposal does?
Brad, you want to talk to us about
Be able to
this?
get across.
You're right on cue.
But
Oh, you don't?
So basically, buying those old houses and stuff was just waste in the wind.
How many years we've been working?
some of the towers that were, that I was under the impression was wanting the terminal building have indicated, ask us why we were wanting it. Indicated that they weren't that concerned about it.
He is back to day one.
I thought Tyson's.
The largest complaints we get about the location of our terminal is its accessibility. And the reason we started pursuing this was to get a terminal that was very accessible right off of Emma, or 265. And because of, we built the road and that didn't help us much, the terminal, and it seems like to me that this is just going to shut down the possibility of us ever making the airport truly easily accessible, which we've been working on, as long as I've been on the commission to improve. And all of those years, last 10 years, the efforts have discounted and fell out the window.
Three projects that they're working on is making improvements to the intersection of Caudle, How?
That offset.
Also making improvements to the intersection of Emma, Water, and Park. Improve the flow of traffic.
So we've determined then that that's the only area that that can go.
No. Recommending that's the best solution.
I can tell you that because of the last 10 years that I've been here, and the idea of having the airport more accessible, I feel like, we've been open and about doing this for a long time. We talked about it, the land acquisitions and all of that stuff. And I feel like we've been under that. And, I would vote not to approve this. Because all of those efforts to make this airport truly accessible to business and the front door for industry coming in here and the drive, what they drive through and what they see and all of that, if this happens, we're not ever going to be able to do that. And, I think that, I don't think it's a good thing. I think we want the airport to be a draw for industry in this city, and it's not as much as it could be.
I thought Tyson's quit using it because first impression of people showing up is coming out and it was an eyesore. Idea coming off of Emma Street, coming out onto Emma Street was a lot more attractive. You're coming into a restored area of downtown Springdale. It was just, it's lots of Springdale.
Well, I think that's right, and that's why, one of the reasons why we pursued it even harder was because of that. And like I say, if you want to attract industry, town and the airport is a major plus to bring somebody that has a satellite plant or facility, and they get here and it takes them, we did the road because they couldn't get in and out during school time. Businesses, if they have a departure time for their airplane at 4 o'clock, they couldn't get to it because of the school, so we did that. All along, our whole goal was to get over on 265 or Emma, so there wouldn't be any problems, and businesses that want to use this airport wouldn't be tied up. And if we approve this, it seems like to me we've basically said the last 10 years was a waste of our effort and everything else for as far as the airport development. I think it's a mistake.
We spent a lot of time over the years working
A
towards
lot of
it.
conversation and I understand what the city needs. Maybe they don't want the airport in town. I don't know.
I don't think that's the case.
I think it's an issue of funding and priorities that they're having to set for the amount of money they do have available. Don't see a revenue source to fund this operation in
As far as the terminal, you mean? Access road.
required to build it.
I don't think we should shut the door on it. This is kind of like closing the door but not locking it.
The mayor's on his way, and we'll get his thoughts on this and have some more discussion with him.
I mean, we have lost some commercial traffic because of accessibility. We still have some of the businesses because they own hangars on 165. This hump was over there. And it wasn't as important to them, but if you want to attract a new business, to utilize this airport, or the airport would be an asset to draw new business to your town. If you don't have it easily accessible, it's going to be a negative. That's my opinion.
Well, we'll wait for the mayor to get here. We're just about at the end of our agenda for the day. Any other comments from the commissioners in regards to this?
We had some other proposals.
Different areas?
Yeah. This seems like it's gone from bad to worse. I don't know. Sort of like Greg, I'm not too excited about it.
Options included using property that we don't own.
That's not available anymore.
Well, let's wait a few minutes. He's on his way. Let's just give it a second here and see. He said he'd be here in a couple of minutes. Any old business from the commission?
This also increased our bird issue.
I don't know how I couldn't.
I mean, as opposed to some of those other proposals. I thought some others were further away from the front.
We had looked at some from the east side as well, and that seemed to be to me, the best option. Well, we'll recess the meeting until Mayor Sprouse gets here, and we'll reconvene. I won't say what I was going to say. Brad, if we reconvene here, can you answer some questions for us? So is your answer no? For the pond? For the houses?
Why did we
It's
buy it?
airport property.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring our meeting back in session. Hi, Mayor Sprouse.
Apologize. Rose told me about the meeting yesterday, and I didn't put it on my calendar. So I apologize for making you wait. Talking about the detention, is that? All right. In order for us to move forward and get the Clomer going that we need for downtown, we need to move on with the detention. I hope y'all will support that. We're not going to be able to, I realize it jeopardizes the ability to build an additional terminal, but it doesn't take out the possibility of building new access to the present terminal and putting what money in the future we would have spent building a new terminal to expanding our existing terminal. So I think we're sort of up against a timeline, and the property owner to the west has offered their property for part of the detention if needed, but they want to preserve that as green space, and that's their property. So we're sort of looking at options, and but we need to move forward with the detention if y'all are acceptable to that. It's we've got to the point we just had to say, do the detention, show the detention on our existing airport property, because that's what we control. So I'll answer questions best I can. I'm trying to get my thoughts together here as I hurried over here.
I know we've got a few for you.
Okay.
Beginning with, I think some of the concerns, I know initially we had a few different options. We were looking to the east, we were looking where
Right.
we're talking about now.
Right.
What was the reason behind settling on this?
Because the property to the east was not, it was not clear that it was going to be available for a future terminal. I'm sorry, to the west.
We're talking about moving to the east. I mean, the runway in 265.
I don't know. I don't remember that discussion about east of the runway.
That was,
Well, it was on one of the plans when we first got the bomb dropped on us.
Brad, do you know anything about that? Speak up, please. Okay, it was ruled out because it might be a future hangar site. I don't know anything about that property. I wasn't involved in those discussions of a possible.
that was the direction we were going from the original discussion of this.
One of the very first preliminary attempts showed 3 different ponds in 3 different areas. But at that time, they hadn't looked at the extending the east side taxiway stuff. And the amount of volume they were gaining there was so minimal, they elected not to go that direction.
So the houses that we bought recently, the city bought recently, what's going to happen with that property?
I would suspect it could be part of a future park, or it could be and include access to the existing terminal.
Do you have any idea where access would be to the existing terminal? You know, when we started, for 10 years, we've been looking at
Right.
promoting the airport to draw business to this community.
Right.
And the biggest complaint we get from business, and that's why Tyson left, was get to the terminal. So we thought if we could get something either on Emma or 265
Right.
that would work, that we would be a bigger asset to the community, to draw industry, to create jobs, to create a good storefront for the community for.
Right. There has been
This is all being
interest,
shut
there
down.
has been an interest in improving, nothing in stone, but improving our current access and beautifying our current access. I can't tell you what what extent that is, but some improvements, aesthetic and access improvements on Powell have also come to the table. But we don't know to what extent yet. There's an interest in helping us improve our current access to help alleviate some of those issues that we've had, that we've all heard about.
Have any discussions been had on a new access road from Emma?
We'd have to see how that would work. That would still be my goal, to have an additional access from Emma. I think probably a hangar's going to be in the way at some point. Is that right, Wyman? I'm not looking at it right now.
We've figured a way to get around the hangar, but there'd still be a lot of challenges to coming in that way.
Okay. I wish I had better information for you. But this has been a hairball from the beginning, and we're trying to get detention to get our downtown out of the floodplain. And we hope we can move forward, and then figure out access and figure out if there's going to be a site for another terminal down the road. But we've got to get the design for the detention done before we can move forward with a Clomer.
So it would be terrible to move forward with this, and then in the near future, we find out we have a better location or a different location we could do that detention pond. Is that an option? That we're still looking at other locations?
We're not looking at other locations besides airport property, not to my knowledge. That's the best place FTN thought it was going to be, to put it. Plus, it's property we own. But it's at the headwaters of the Spring Creek, and that's the best place for that, or it's nearer, and that's the best place to do detention. Detention would have to be upstream from downtown, obviously. And so if the east side is out, if the east side of the runway is out, then I guess this is the location that it needs to be. And we knew when we bought those houses that we were also buying it for detention. It doesn't turn out we need it if we can fit it all on our property.
Well, that was never presented to us.
Okay.
We feel like we've been blindsided, just to be real honest with you.
All right.
We've been working 10 years on this, trying to get this going, the access and all that. And basically, a few months ago, somebody comes and says, we're going to build these ponds, and that's it. And we said, wait a minute.
We're gonna build what?
These detention ponds. It was a surprise to us. It was mentioned that might happen. And then it came in with a plan, and we're going to start construction.
Well, the city council approved our contract with FTN for this very purpose, to build those ponds and to get the detention done to take, to get the Clomer going for downtown. So I don't know where
Well, I guess
where the communication broke
with
down.
us.
Yeah,
We didn't know until we're starting, basically, and we said, wait a minute, we've been working to do this. So that's what started this moving around just in the last 5 months. So basically, that's when we found out about it. And so we felt like we were blindsided, snuck in, and told, this is what we're going to do. And
right.
And so we started asking those questions, and it's just getting worse.
Yeah,
So
I don't disagree.
well,
Brad, what's the timeline on the Clomer? When do they need that? When do we need to move forward to get the Clomer?
Can you come up to the mic and
Yeah,
so we can
come
hear
on
you?
up here. You're very soft-spoken.
If that plan is approved now, they can get a Clomer probably by the end of November.
Into what?
November.
November.
But, and the Clomer, but I guess my question is, if they want to take more time on this, then what does that do to us? It just delays putting,
At this point, we've already delayed 1 month beyond what our original estimate was. So every month that's delayed pushes it back a month.
We've got 3 commission members not here today.
Right.
Prefer to have everyone here to discuss this.
I agree. Would y'all be open to a special meeting? Sure. Let's do that. Maybe I can get my game together a little better, and we can discuss a little better what we need to. So let's do that. All right,
Thank you, Mayor.
thanks.
So for the commissioners that are here, Thursday, is Thursday still the best day for everyone? Next week? What the mayor,
Rose will also, she'll coordinate all that, but I want a meeting with each one of you individually also.
Okay.
Before that, okay? Thank you.
so you coordinate that. So Rose will be getting with us on that, individual meetings as well as our group meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
Are we looking at trying to get us everything in a couple of weeks? I know
Let's leave it
he's
up
gonna
to
be-
him.
He's going to be gone for a few days, so I know I'll work around his schedule on that part. Okay.
I think we're all flexible enough, we can make it happen within the next couple of weeks.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Okay. Any old business? Comments from the commissioners?
I don't know. I think when you look at this, we're going to put a pension pond on this thing that instead of this airport growing, it shrinks. Growth, you're shrinking down the viability of the future of this airport. Shrink some more out this.
Yeah, I'm discouraged because, like I said, I felt like for a long time we've been talking about it and moving that goal and the efforts to do it, you know, was to make this airport better for business. We spent $1 million on a road because we wanted better access. You know, and then we still have complaints because of what they have to drive through and there's no direct route. You got to widen. It's hard to find. You know, you can see it from 265, but how do you get there? From Emma, but how do you get there? And
Let's
I
see
mean, we've
what
been
our-
very open about it, and then this just kind of came up and.
It did. Obviously, it wasn't executed well, but that's behind us at this point. Let's see what the future holds as far as what our options are, and
I mean, I don't want to fight the city, you know, because they've been extremely good to us, I think, personally. I think they've been good and helpful. You know, obviously, I feel like that it appears that the airport's not as important as some other thing. And of course, airports are our priority. That's why we're here, because we want the airport to grow, we want it to prosper, we want it to do that. And it appears to me that we're making that more and more difficult.
Well, they're already looking at improving Park Street from Park to Cottle. And I know Powell Street has been in the discussion as well because George's didn't want to build a new hangar on the opposite side of the airfield because they didn't want their customers to come down Powell Street. So I know the city, and then there's another entity that's willing to invest in improving the entrance. They're looking at enlarging that Luther George Park and making that tremendous. So I think that would, if they improved that entrance, it could really be a nice entrance to say, this is your drive off of Emma to the airport.
Well, I think that would be good. Like I said, we know we've lost. Georgia's say they don't want it. They talked to us about building another hangar because they didn't want their customers driving through that. Tyson left the airport because of that. Those are the two big industries.
I think what this hinges on is can we improve that
I mean,
and take away that concern?
that's our concern because we want the airport to be an asset, not a liability. And if the business is leaving the airport because of that, it's a liability to the city. It's not an asset. And our whole goal for the last 10 years is to make this more and more of an asset to the city to attract. So when an industry comes to you, Mayor, and says, we like your town, but it's a satellite, our guys fly in, but it's not good for us to bring our customers here.
I agree, I don't disagree with any of that.
And that's what our whole goal has been.
I know, but when somebody comes to your downtown and they can't develop because it's in the floodplain, we got an issue too. So we'll figure it out. Let me meet with each of you individually. I want Wyman and Brad in the meeting with me. And we'll meet with y'all and give you all the information we can. Any question, have your questions ready, and we'll try and work something else out. We'll get something figured out.
I appreciate it, because I do
Yeah.
believe the city's been good to us.
Yeah.
But we're trying to be really good to the city. too.
And I fully understand that and
I
appreciate
think
it.
we all want the same thing.
That's right.
We
just-
want Springdale to be the best
Yeah.
in every aspect.
Well, then we'll get it figured out.
Any last comments from commissioners? We are adjourned.
Hello, federal.